All right, this first question is rather lengthy. It's for Lee Harris over at Limestone, but I thought this was rather interesting. Lee, Charlotte sent us an email from North Carolina, and it's really an unusual question. She listens to iHeartRadio. She says she closed on her house back in May. Then she's been living there ever since, and today she says a man came to her house claiming to be a real estate broker who handles foreclosure sales and said he'd been assigned to sell the house, her house. And she told him, there's no way my house is in foreclosure because I just bought it. She has all the subsequent mortgage payments, and he accused her of lying. This is accusing Charlotte of lying. She said she contacted her real estate agent and her closing attorney. They thought it might be a scam, so they looked that up and then contacted this guy. Turns out it's a real agent, a real foreclosure. It's been issued on her house by a different finance company than she doesn't have a mortgage with. They're saying that her title insurance should cover this, but she's not sure what's going on. And I realize this is in another state, but I thought this was so interesting. Could this happen to any of our listeners who own homes here in the Louisville area? And what is going on? Yeah.
Yes. So it sounds like perhaps when the search was run, maybe the previous owner had two mortgages, maybe a first mortgage and then a second, and maybe they didn't find this second mortgage. And now that it's been several months, this mortgage obviously hasn't been paid since May, and that's about how long it takes, 60 to 90 days for them to start looking at defaults on those. And so hopefully she bought owner's title insurance. That's why it's important. If there's anything ever missed, they will handle it. She just needs to make a claim with her carrier, and they will cover any defense costs, and they will cover any fees to get this taken care of. And there's probably been fees added on by the lender on their side, like attorney's fees and whatnot, and they should cover all of that. So that's the benefit of owner's title. If anything ever is out of whack, they should help with that.
And Lee, not to be the bearer of bad news for Charlotte, and I think she's listening. So if she did not buy owner's title insurance. Now, again, we should point out when you have a mortgage, and Randy will tell you, mortgage title insurance is a requirement, so that covers your mortgage. But if she did not buy owner's title insurance, what's the forecast here for her?
Then she will have to get that lien cleared off of her property, obviously, because she doesn't want to pay it, monthly, someone else's mortgage. So she would be in the same position to negotiate with the lender and say, look, this was missed, and I need to figure out a settlement with you to get it off of my house so that she can have free and clear title down the line when she goes to sell, and so that she doesn't have this foreclosure looming on her house for something that she didn't even borrow.
So she goes to the closing attorney that she went through to have him or her handle that?
Well, they could help her with filing of the claim if she has the title policy. If she doesn't have the title policy, then she should seek a real estate attorney in North Carolina that can help her navigate this situation. Because once a foreclosure situation is started, there's definitely legal counsel on the other side.
So just so everybody understands this is not an isolated incident. This has happened in many areas, including here in the Louisville area, right? Because we've dealt with this because of a closing attorney who in the past may or may not have done, I'm not accusing anybody, but their due diligence properly. Their people didn't do the due diligence, and as a result, the buyer was on the hook, and the seller, as the seller found out. It actually happened to one of our clients who had bought a home, this is about a year ago, bought a home about 15 years ago, and as it turned out, it had never been cleared properly, and there was another lien on the house that had to be cleared. So I brought this up because this is so important. And Lee, is there anything you could tell our listeners that they should do to protect themselves against anything like this? What would you say?
Yes, I mean, all of this information as to whether or not there are liens on properties is all public information. So in Jefferson County, for example, you can go on free to Jefferson County Clerk's website, and you can pull up the name of the owner that you're buying from, and you can see if there's any mortgages, and if they have been released, it will say release. But if you see like maybe there's two mortgages there, and then when you get to your closing, you only see one being paid off, you have a right to raise a red flag and say, wait a minute, I think there's some other things out here. Occasionally, the reason that this happens is because things are misfiled when they were originally put into the clerk's records. So then when that closing company goes to search, it's not in there. It's not in the chain of title, but the lender still knows they have this loan and it's not being paid. So, that's human error on the part of the filers. And of course, human error happens.
Yeah, and I would think the filer should be held responsible at that point. I think our listeners will feel the same way. Hey, a reminder, you can see a rebroadcast and actually watch this show by going to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That is LouisvilleAnswers.com. It's our YouTube channel, and you can see and hear what we're talking about vividly rather than just listening to it on 840 WHAS.